My name is Lichan. I'm the founder and CEO of Ete Coffee. Ete Coffee is Naga's own first coffee roasting company, started in 2016. When I look back into my life, especially with the whole idea of me wanting to become the world's funniest man in my fifth standard, and later on my pursuit to become a songwriter for 13 years, and eventually landing up studying microbiology and social work studies, turned a social worker, a government servant, a photographer, and now coffee. It looks pretty chaotic, but one thing that I realized about loving God and seeking His guidance in my life, I remain diligent, I remain sincere in whatever I do. And it's like as if God was preparing me for a bigger call one day. The word Ede is in Lota means us or ours. Nagas being a multi-tribal community, we would like to envisage and encourage and represent a symbol of unity through our brand as well. We gave the tagline as "Justice a Cup." When I was starting off, I was driven by the fact that there has to be justice in our society. The justice for me was full of vengeance and hatred. But when I understood the justice from the perspective of God, it means more love, more sacrifices. And so the word love came in place of the justice. And so we try to build around the narrative of our business in the gospel itself. That is to seek justice in 5 thematic areas. Number 1 being with our farmers, number 2 with our resources, number 3 with our employees, the way we employ our employees, number 4 is employability and education, number 5 being the cup. When I thought of Ete Coffee, I cannot help but fall in love with it because of the fact that I am able to connect with farmers, with a shipping team, with roasting, with brewing, and there's a massive amount of ripple effect in the economy. And I strongly believe that this can really revolutionize our society. And so I really wish that Ete Coffee is not just confined to our team, but it's also a brand for our community. When people walk into our state or our city, I want them to look at Naga Coffee as one single brand. And to do so, we want to make sure and ensure that every single cafes follow highly standardized protocols. And so with whatever we have acquired knowledge from, we would love to keep sharing to make sure we are able to help raise more cafes and train more people to do good coffee. And so currently we are offering 8 different courses, and that includes plantation, roasting, brewing, greens, latte art, barista, and even how to run a coffee shop. As I see myself in the future, I'm on a mission to reach out to 1 million lives. Just as how I struggled when I first started, I know there are millions of people out there who are struggling, and I wish to be part of their lives in that journey to help grow in their entrepreneurial career. Given the fact that I come from not so privileged family, I was first generation. Absolutely, I have no idea about coffee, roastery, specialty coffee. And at that point of time when I just started and I was so lost, I always was praying and seeking help from God. And one word that particularly inspired me is from 1 Corinthians 2:9, which says, "What no eyes have seen, ears have heard, mind have conceived, those are the things God has set aside for those who love Him." And so I decided to love Him. I decided to seek God. My wife and I, we prayed about it. And so I think I'm seeing the results today. And people ask, how did you ever conceive all of this? I give all my credit to God.
I'm HEKANI JAKHALU, and I'm the founder of YouthNet. When I was a young girl, I always wanted to be a lawyer, and I really My parents, like any other parents, wanted me to sit for exams, and that was something that I was not very interested in, and I decided to become a lawyer. After graduating from law school in Delhi University, I took a student's loan and then I did my master's in the US. I was all set to start my journey as a hardcore lawyer, but things changed for me. In 2005, I had gone to a prayer center. I was not expecting anything. I just went there to seek God's blessing, and after my 5-day fasting and prayer, before I left the prayer center, the pastor told me that God has other plans for you. God's plan is one day that you'll come back home and work for the people. And I was really taken aback because that was something that I never ever thought. I met with the Honorable Chief Minister in 2005, and we started talking about youth unemployment, the issues of young people, and that really changed my mind, and I decided to come back home. But it was just not that incident, it was the prayer house. Actually, God had already started working in me, and every moment, every incident was a time where God was talking to me and God was working, to change my life, to come back home. We started YouthNet in 2006, so this year we completed 15 years. And for us, we believe that YouthNet is a very special organization because it just did not happen out of the blues. But this was a calling. It was a very special calling to work for our young people. So that's how we started. 7 of us started the organization, and today we have 105 salaried staff. The organization is what it is because of the team. I have fantastic young people working with me, and we have been able to impact over 1 lakh people, young people, and I'm really happy for where it has reached today. And we have our Monday prayer and meeting, and that is the time. I know I keep on repeating the same thing, but I keep on telling them that every person who is part of the organization is a very special person, and they are here not to work for YouthNet or not to work for HEKANI or the director or whoever, but God has specially picked them up to do, given them an assignment to work for the people. And whatever little work that we are doing, we know that our job is to make sure that it's giving a positive impact to people who are less privileged than us. Each and every member of this organization is God's servant, and we feel so fulfilled whenever we're performing our duties. We are one of the most major Christian state, and then in terms of corruption, in terms of just our principle, our integrity, I think we have just so lost it. And whenever I go out and people talk about Nagaland, and that is when it really hurts me. And I'm also more challenged because for me, it's not just about success of the work, but it's about how do we give our best and be one of the best performing state so that people can look up to Naga people and people can look at Nagaland and say, this is a state and this is how Christians are supposed to be. So this is a big challenge for me, and I've been struggling with that, and I make sure that when I go out, I'm an ambassador of Christ and I'm an ambassador of Naga people. Every young Naga is very special, and so don't think that it's just someone who's going to change. If Nagas have to change, if Nagaland has to change, it is you and I who can do that, and who is going to do that. Wherever, in whatever position you may be a student, you may be already working, but whatever position you may be in, your life is so special and there's so much you can do for our people, and through this we'll be able to glorify God's name. My life was so different, when I did not know God and thinking that I know God. That's the best part. Now, over the years, I know, I don't know, it's so meaningful, it's so fruitful. I couldn't be happier anywhere else. And that is not because of my work, but because, I should say, because I found God, I know who God is. In spite of all my weaknesses, God loves me, and that is why I am doing what I am doing, because of His love and because of His calling, and that gives me the most satisfaction.